Hi, Bishop Jennifer here. As I've gone around the diocese over the past year and a half, I've often said to you, here's a permission slip. Go out and try something new. I hope that sounds a little familiar to you as I've encouraged you to take a risk, to try on new things, to experiment, to try a new project, a new way of worshiping, to see if there are new ways of doing the faithful work in ministry that you've been called to do, and to risk failing, and then to get up and try all over again. That's exactly what we'll be doing as we gather for our diocesan convention soon, and we'll consider a resolution that will allow our executive council the opportunity to experiment with our deanery structure. You may know that in some places, deaneries are working just fine, and in other places, they need a little help or some revisioning. The resolution that we'll consider will allow us some room to experiment. We'll even experiment perhaps with language, using the word neighborhood instead of deaneries, as a way to think about how we are called to be in relationship across and within our regions. We'll also talk about the role of delegates that are elected from congregations to convention, and to see if convention delegates might lean into a new way of living into that office, perhaps connecting across our diocese in other ways, in more meaningful ways, in between convention, instead of just once a year when we gather at convention. There are a lot of things that we might imagine doing, and I hope that when we gather at convention, we'll have a chance to experiment and talk about those possibilities before us. The resolution coming to us will also allow the council to have a little bit of room to experiment while we're being really transparent about that. We want to do our work in the light, and we hope that in this time of experimentation, we will be able to settle in to the structure that we think will work best for us, and then change the canons to fit that structure once we've settled in on it. So I hope you'll come to convention with an open heart and an open mind as we go about that work. Our readiness to explore some of this, I think, will be able to help us to be more faithful to God's call to us in this day. You've heard me say that, grounded in God's love in Christ, we are called as a diocese to reach out with a radical welcome and a bold witness to serve and transform our world. We've been talking over the last year and a half about the work set forth before us, which is about being beacons of Jesus Christ for Central and Southern Indiana and the world. It's about standing with the vulnerable and marginalized and working really hard to transform systems of injustice. It's about equipping lay and clergy leaders to lead in the church that is today and the church that is yet to be, that is still coming into being. And we're about connecting with one another, being really connected and communicating well both within our diocese as the church and connected with our neighbors and whoever else wants to come and play and work with us to collaborate in transforming the world with God. Anything that we might consider around our diocesan structures is all for that purpose, for serving faithfully the work that God has called us to in this time. And having a deanery structure or a neighborhood structure that allows us to do that is what this resolution and the work before us is all about. I am so looking forward to being with you at this 180th Diocesan Convention in Bloomington. When we gather, I hope we'll have a little bit of time to learn together, to share new possibilities for our life together, to have some fun together, to worship and pray together, to do all those things that we do best when we come together as a body. I'm excited about where God's calling us to and to be on this journey with you. So I look forward to seeing you at convention.